the Deering Acting Studio.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mornings with Matt. Brian, they won't be able to hear you, but I can hear you. We're pretty close to 100 episodes, aren't we?
We are one away.
Is this number 99?
99.
Thomas Archer is 99. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got the guest of all guests on our show today. He is just a man-child of talent, raw good looks normally, but today we had to literally yank him out of bed, I think, because this is about 4 hours before I think Thomas normally gets up. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Archer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What most people don't know is I have Matt do that introduction even when we're not on a show. Anywhere we go, coffee shops, wherever.
Yeah, and you can use this. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. You should record this show and just bring it with you, and when you walk in places, if someone's like, hey, who are you? Just go, blink.
Got it.
Dude, I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
I miss you. My goodness. You're graduated from college, are you not?
Yes. Yes, I am.
What is going on with the world, my friend?
Oh, it's crazy times.
How did you get old? I'm not talking about coronavirus, bro. I'm just talking about you aging.
You're talking about how did I become old? I don't know.
Congratulations on that, by the way. Congratulations on continuing to age. I mean, it's a good thing, actually.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really proud. You know, I didn't get the Benjamin Button thing. Really happy about that. Yeah, no, dude, I was thinking about some of, like, when I was thinking about coming on the show and everything, about just memories you and I have from when I was a lot younger and starting out acting. And, like, I was really young. Like,
yeah.
I think about, like, and now I'm really old. Like, I was like 11 or 12 when we were, like, doing coachings for auditions. And
how old are you now?
I'm 24.
So get this, dude. You're about the age I was when I was driving to your house to coach you.
Isn't that insane?
It's insane.
Absolutely wild. I'm lucky. I mean, seriously, that I was that young and got to start out with a good coach. So
well, and I'm lucky I found you guys. You know, you guys found me. Your mom used to hire me. I would load up the car with all the film equipment. I'd drive to your house, unload, set it up. We would do a lesson, and then I'd pack it all up and go home. And back then we used to deliver like DVDs as part of the process and stuff.
You were like Netflix, just delivering DVDs.
And bro, I would never do that anymore. I would never do that for like anybody. And I was doing that for like $50. I would spend like 4 hours prepping and getting ready. But but you do what you got to do, right? You do what you got to do on your way up.
Absolutely. So cool thinking back on that. Yeah. I mean, literally I was young, and then I think about the first times that we were going, you came over with me to LA. The first couple times I had like been to LA it was either to audition for agents or whatever. And I was like thinking about that. I must have been like 13 or 14 when you would coach me, because a lot of times they would have you do a monologue or whatever back then. And I was just like, wow, I was really young, but I was lucky that I had Matt and had met you so young. And I think that just came from me just like really annoying my mom when I was that age.
You were insanely annoying about acting. And I think of anybody, your dad was probably just like, why?
He didn't get it. Not at all.
Why? I do my prayers. I've done everything right, Lord. What are you doing to me? Yeah, and you know what? I would love to talk about, because here's the thing. What you've always had, and this is going to be, you know, one of the very few rare compliments I'll give you today. You've got work ethic. And I talk about work ethic a lot. I talk about it in my published book here, Acting is My Day Job, 7 Strategies to Market and Make Money as an Actor. Because really it's all about, at the end of the day, who's going to do the work and who isn't. And the reason I say this about you is because you're not just this kid who was like, oh, I want to be an actor, even though you were that kid also. you grinded on the football field, you grinded in the classroom, you graduated cum laude, right?
Yeah. No, I think you make a good point about initially. I think there was I did get some resistance from my dad because he always wanted me to be an athlete, to play sports in college and stuff. And I think I just approached acting like more, it's a very artistic thing, but I think I brought that athlete's mentality, at least when I was early getting into it. And I just thought, okay, well, there's a set number of hours. Mm-hmm. There's practice. I mean, practice is like, of course you're going to practice if you're going to be a professional. And I kind of just always thought, all right, if I'm trying to be, a professional baseball player or whatever, football player, I'm asking people to pay me to be like the top 3% in the world at one thing.
Right.
So you don't just get to be that thing, that percentage, that bracket without practicing. And I feel like I was lucky, Matt. I learned a lot of it from you. I mean, it was like you just eliminate any possibility for variables that are in your control to prevent you from being successful. So it's like if they want to cast somebody with blonde hair, or they want to, there are things as an actor that simply aren't in your control. But the thing that, I think you taught me a lot was like, well, let's like the things we can control, the prep, the work, like there's going to be no question about that. So I think that's where that came from early on, is that sort of like approaching things like an athlete, and there's like a certain amount of hours you practice every single day.
Yeah.
And that just remove any variable or any chance that like, was it because I didn't work hard enough? No, you shouldn't be thinking about that. You should just let it go. And if they didn't pick me, it's not because I didn't work hard enough. So.
I'm a pretty humble guy. I'd like to say I don't take credit for a lot of things, but your career is one of the things I'm definitely going to take full credit for. Like anything successful you ever do, pretty much is because of me. Any mistakes, of course, that's your mom and dad's fault.
Yeah. That's right.
No, but truthfully though, one thing I would say that was a part of our molding, because here's the truth, dude. When I was your age, I coached you to the highest level that I knew how to coach. But it's nowhere near what I'm doing now. So if I could have grabbed you then, knowing what I know now, we'd be even better and even further along, But I always talk about like this whole thing, this life in general is all about progression. And so we met each other for a reason at the right time. And the one thing I'll say that I know that I had a hand in helping you with, which was a difficult concept, was this mindset, this mastery mindset. And I think, and by the way, I love your parents. We're going to talk about your parents in a bit because they are, again, they set the foundation for success, the pathway to success in the way that they think and operate. But because there was that bit of resistance, that bit of sort of like we need to prove ourselves early, I think there was a time when you were focused on the wrong thing. You were focused on the gig, or focused on wanting to get something on your resume or something like that. And I kept like eagerly trying to sway you away from that and go, dude, it's process. Trust me, process. Trust me, work. Trust me, process. Like all these other things are gonna come, but just don't allow your value to be determined based on somebody else's opinion of you.
Dude, yeah, it's so true. I think as a younger kid, it was harder for me to get, because if we're taking that same mentality from school and from sports, there are immediate results that tell you whether you're doing a good job or not, right? You get an A on the test, then, the next day,
right,
you get your 40 time or whatever, or your stats. And I think as a kid, something that you and I talked about a lot is that, like, it's not about somebody else telling you you're an actor, or you're a good actor. That's like about, I can see it now very clear. It's like, that's about the worst way to approach it, is like, I'm not an actor unless somebody tells me I'm good or I'm allowed to be. I think something that we talked about a lot is like, no, you just be an actor every day, and then it'll find you. Once you're in process and once you're working hard, it'll find you, and the results will take care of themselves, and there's faith and all that involved in that too.
Yeah.
But I think, I would totally agree. I think that same thing, the same mindset that helped me with work ethic also hurt me in a lot of ways. And let's be honest, it's still, I'm not perfect. Still, I'll be like, how did I not get that one? Or I can't believe I didn't get that one. And that's a dangerous place to be, because it comes from that immediate results oriented sort of mindset. And yeah, I would say that it was a struggle early on, because like you said, we wanted to be like, here's proof that we're doing the right thing, or we're doing well, or at least I did. Here's proof. And that's not obviously the right approach. But as a kid, it was hard to wrap my mind around that.
And it can be this other idea too, where, you know, as an actor, you're running your own business. You're an entrepreneur of sorts. And so you're investing money, or your parents are investing money in a certain thing. Let's just say, in this case, an acting coach. And you're going, okay, where's my investment going? What's my payout? And especially a businessman such as your father, who's like a next level successful guy who understands profit margins and all these different things. He's going, okay, all right, where's the payout? You know what I mean? Let's talk about this thing. And what's curious about it though is there is something innate about acting where people get themselves stuck on that. Because if your dad were, for instance, hiring a basketball coach or a football coach, he wouldn't be expecting a payout yet. You know, right. But for some reason in acting, we delude ourselves and we think like, oh, like this should happen. Like I should be getting paid before I'm exceptional at this thing.
Yeah. Somebody told me something recently. It's like, literally people will hire acting coaches and stuff in LA and be like, why is my kid not like on the Disney Channel? And like, it's like, hey, if you gave your kid a violin, would you expect in 2 months them to like be getting paid by like LA Philharmonic? Like, no, like you would never be like, why is my 7-year-old not like selling out the Garden?
Even if you hired the best violin coach in the world, you still can't expect 2 months for them to be getting paid. That's not the way it works.
No, you'd be making a 10-year investment or 15-year and going, wow, when this kid's 25,
maybe
Olympic level or pushing for that audition.
And then even then it's going to be maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And we're not saying that Matt's the greatest coach in the whole world. We're not saying the whole world.
No.
We're
It's
definitely saying
there's just like
he's up there.
It's just there are websites though who have put this book on a list of the best acting books ever written, and I was like, what? Like, why would I be on that list? And why?
So weird.
And why am I number 13? Because I'm like, that's a little low. But
and it's weird. Like, it's not like you're in Walmart. Like it's not like that's the case.
No, here's the deal. I'm not all about promoting self-promotion and stuff like that, but if I were, I would recommend this book right here. Acting is My Day Job: 7 Strategies to Market and Make Money as an Actor. Because,
but he wouldn't do that though, because he's not that.
No, I wouldn't do that. But if I were to talk about the book, inside the book we talk about goal setting and the difference between actor goal setting that is appropriate and inappropriate. And the appropriate goal setting actually is going to answer that question that we longed for as a kid, which is like, how do I measure my growth? And that's where the goals need to change. So it's easy to measure your growth if you go, okay, when I started, it took me X amount of time to memorize a 2-minute monologue. 2 months later, a new monologue, it takes me half the time to memorize a similar monologue. My skill set is getting better.
Right.
3 months ago, I didn't have an accent. Now I'm on my way to having a proficient accent. 2 years from now, boom, I am excellent. I feel very confident in this particular accent. Boom. So skill-based goals are going to be achievable and they are measurable. Then again, the results-based goals, those ones take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. I think, and for young actors especially, I know I'm still a young actor or whatever, but if I can just reinforce that in any way, it's like, give yourself things to put a check mark by. That's how you build confidence, is by coming through for yourself. When you set a goal and you get to put a check mark by it, there's no better way to build your confidence. I know that the more you do that, that's where you are able to walk in a room and just not fake it, but totally just be confident in yourself. And this is a very small example, but I was working on the play Beirut in acting class, which is one that always scared me and I always tried not to work on because you had to do a New York accent, and it was just scary material. It's a lot going on. It's an intense play. And I remember, and this was like at the end of last year, And I finally just said, you're going to work on it. You're going to put it up in class. You're going to do scenes from it. And when my goals sort of really shifted towards that play, and okay, I really sucked at first with the accent, but then I got it a little bit better. And then okay, I did a really short scene. Now I'm going to do a longer scene where there's some real intensity. And once my goals became about this play I was working on, a lot of cool things did happen with auditions and shows. But I was almost like walking into rooms like, dude, I'm working on Beirut right now. Like this, me giving you one line being like, he's over there. Like I'm going to be able to do it.
He's over there.
Sorry.
Where's the wrench? I don't know where the wrench is. Where's the wrench? And there you go. 20 grand for that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and I remember like literally I did have that confidence though of being like there's nothing I'm going to get that I have to go in for that is going to be harder than what I'm working on already in class. So I wasn't scared, and a lot of stuff worked out because of it. So that's a small example, but it's practicing, you know.
Dude, it's a perfect example. And I believe I used to say this to you when I was younger, but I reiterate this now all the time, which is the if you can make the work the fun. If you're like, okay, the work is the thing I look forward to, like this, like I'm looking forward to getting better as an actor. Like I can't wait to take on this challenging play, this challenging accent. I'm so focused on that. I say this all the time. Then what everyone else calls the work, it actually literally gets in the way. So you walk into the audition with this mindset of, and I've said this before, I don't care. But it's a positive I don't care. It's not an I don't care like I didn't prepare or I didn't try or I don't want it and I wouldn't be grateful for it. Of course I'd be grateful for it. But whether you give me this part or not does not define me at all. So because I'm working on Beirut, like, so I'm good. So I'll do this. I would love the job. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. If you give it to me, I'll be grateful. But honestly, it's just going to add work to my plate because I'm not going to stop working on Beirut during this. Because Beirut's the thing that got me it in the first place. And once you get that mindset, that's when the whole world opens up for you as an actor.
Dude, I literally heard you absolutely did say that to me. And it's funny because only like last year or 2 years ago, it's literally 10 years since you told me that. But I remember it didn't make sense to me for so long as a kid. You were like, no, the audition sometimes gets in the way of what really matters. And I would just think to my head, like, no, the audition. We're trying to like be movie stars, duh. And it's like, I finally it clicked for me. It was maybe a year or two ago, and I was working on a play, and I remember having the thought like, oh, all right, I'll go in, but like I gotta stop with working on the accent for like today.
Yeah.
And like that sucks. And I was like a little sort of annoyed. And that sounds, and like you said, it sounds ungrateful, but it's not. You're not thinking about it, and that's when it always comes. So, and I don't know, man. It's a lesson that, like, I swear I have to relearn it every couple of months.
Dude, you'd be so just like taken aback sometimes by actors' mentalities when they come in. They think one thing, and then we steer them in a direction, and the just insane lack of gratitude for what we're doing. And then usually it's exactly this. It's like 10 years later. And some people are humble enough to show up and go, hey, dude, I'm sorry and thank you for 10 years ago. and a lot of people aren't, and it's one of those, like, this is one of those thankless jobs where I'm going, I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to deliver it. And eventually I'm only going to work with people that are just seeking the truth, hungry for the truth, because like my gifting, my skill set, my true desire and love is to work with the 1%. Like I want to work with you. I want to work with people who are striving for the 3%, who are already there and just want to get 1% better. That's really the only people that I want to surround myself with and that I want to work with, because that mentality it's contagious and it's so fun. And it's like when someone wants to work at that level, dude, I can grind. They're like, dude, tell me the truth and then hit me again like 4 times with the truth, please, please, please. And then they say thank you afterward, and it's like, wow, that's nice.
That's
that's nice.
No, yeah, I'll say it right now. 11 years later, thanks, Matt.
Dude,
That
love
was,
you, Thomas. And you have a responsibility now, by the way, you know, because the more successful you get, I take all credit. You know that. just every ounce. It just
I'm making a Deering Studio tattoo, just a small trademark or
I
something.
thought you already got it. You didn't get that yet?
Well,
Come on, bro.
Look,
It's still in development. We're still sketching it.
if at any point you ever like, you know, I'm gonna turn and say that that's not true. Look, on the most successful acting book that there is out there, on the top list, it says right here in the book.
It's number
Thomas
it's number
Archer.
13.
Number
Brian.
13. I mean,
It-
listen, I'm
on
just
the best
predicting
acting
the future.
books ever written.
Can I just predict the future for a second?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So right here, I mean, on this page in the book, it says, wow, Thomas Archer. Wow, actor. That's really incredible. Matt improved my craft and technique, guiding me through obstacles that were holding me back as an actor and a person. His process is the reason I started booking shows for ABC, Nickelodeon, wow, and Amazon Studios. So, I mean, it's right there. So,
It's in the number 13th of all time.
and you're in it. You're in it.
and-
yeah, so
And you put in all the shows there because you know that's what people want to hear when
That's right.
when they're deciding to buy a book. So thank you, I appreciate that.
we're trying to fly these off the shelf.
I
Zach.
know,
I'm
bro.
sorry.
It's just because it's one of the best acting books ever written according to some lists.
Aside from a gray and black sort of tasteful photo of you, the way we sell this book is just with show titles.
Yeah, and Brian Sweeney posing in the George Costanza, I think.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I do. In terms of gratitude, though, I do mean every word of that. Is like I think back a lot of the times as a kid, and the techniques that are taught to kids, especially that are sort of results driven, it can be really like crushing for an acting career when people are taught the wrong things early.
Yeah.
It's just like sports. It's just like school. And I really am. I like, thank God I'm so glad that I ran into Matt, because it could have been so bad. And I had about the best intro to acting you can ask for. So I think, I absolutely mean that in the number 13th book all time. So thank you. I was lucky.
You're welcome. And oh, sorry, go ahead, Joey.
I was just gonna say,
Joey's got
Thomas is
something
like
funny.
a real life Matthew Deering hype man. Like, I thought that I was the hype man, and I am no longer the hype man.
Dude, look at that face, bro. That's who I want to be the hype man. I mean, you can't
OG hype.
you can't look away from the kid. He's just, even when he rolls out of bed, you're like, wow. He must have done that on purpose. He looks so good.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt, I've been up for 4 hours working on Beirut. So
You have not, have you really?
No.
Because I have been. I've been up since 3:30. That's what I do. But it's only because it's 2 days post surgery. Or else I would have been up at 3.
We
Tom's like,
look.
all right.
I'm really, really happy that the camera was on him there for that reaction. We got a
Unbelievable.
text this morning. I'll just share it with you. It is at 5:12 a.m. Good morning, team. Guess who's back? 3:30 a.m. 2 days after surgery. Let's
my
go.
You're an
Hashtag determination.
Yeah, and I created my own little GIF thing that
It says, even as a solid rock is unshaken by the wind, so are the wise unshaken by praise or blame. Buddha.
boom.
There you go.
And it's a picture of Matthew Deering's face.
And what a great quote by the Buddha there.
By the Buddha.
The Buddha knew some things. I think
Buddha.
that's why he had some followers that were into his stuff. But you think about that, and this idea of not being shaken by praise or blame. So people are gonna blame you, cool. Like, make it your fault. That's no big deal. And then you know what's true. But don't be shaken by praise either. And in this particular field, that's one of the biggest traps, is people telling you how good you are too soon and lying to you, and you wanting to believe in the lie. And next thing you know, you put yourself on a stage that you don't belong on. And that's when people crash and burn really, really bad.
So you have to be super careful when Thomas says all these great things about you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is like I don't care. Like, I'm not letting things go to my head. Like I'm on a list of like the best acting books books written of all time. Like, that's a weird list. Like, who wrote that list? I don't know. Like, even though number 7 in like the best acting books written last year too, I'm like, who cares? You know, like, I'm not even gonna bring that kind of stuff up because that'd be so lame if I did that. You know. No, okay. So we have some cool questions I want to get to, but we got off on this really awesome tangent, my friend, because you've come such a long way, and I'm so happy for you. But so before we move on, I want to just talk about mindset. Just kind of put a period on this by just loving your parents and giving them some props, because, you know, you're lucky you met me. I'm really lucky that I met you and your parents, and they're just really wonderful people and successful people. And what's crazy is when I was your age, I wanted so badly to be successful. Like, I wanted to, I didn't know what I was going to be when I grew up, but I remember telling my mom when I was little, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to be, but I'm going to be very successful. that was all I told her. And so I saw your parents, and they were living a life of success. They were living a life that I was like, okay, like, these guys got it figured out. And I remember hearing your mom say something like in passing, and she's like, oh yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't bragging about it. She wasn't even like, she wasn't looking for sympathy. She was just letting me know so I knew when I could show up to your house. And I think it was like something like you guys got up at 4 a.m. every morning, or your parents did. Like, they would be up and going because they had to get you guys to school and they had to do all these other things. And I'm going like, why? Like, back then I was like, why would they do it? Like, they don't have to do that. Like, they're successful. Like, they have things and they have people to help, and like, why? And I didn't put it together. I wasn't going like, okay, that's why they're successful. I was just going like, oh, well, that's just something they like to do, I guess. I don't know.
No, man, it's not coincidence. It really isn't. I think, I've noticed that about my parents too, is like little patterns and stuff that really the only answer to the question of why is like to work harder than everyone else and to make, and most often the talk about being lucky, it was always usually centered around helping us to have the best life we could as their kids.
Right.
So absolutely. It was like those little things that they did. I mean, my mom would drive me to auditions before I could drive, sometimes like 2 hours away, whatever, wait in the car for an hour because the waiting room was like too packed. I mean, stuff like that where like it didn't faze her, dude. It did not faze her. She was just like Terminator. And I think looking back on like I'll be like exhausted, like driving for 35 minutes in LA traffic. And I'm like, how did my mom do this? Like, how did she do this so often? And I think it was just kind of like, because of their work ethic, it didn't faze them, a lot of the stuff that they did. And I think those patterns sort of just imprinted on me.
And it's infectious around the people you surround yourself with. They will start to become your habits. They'll start to pick them up, and they will benefit from them. And I benefited from being near your parents, and I know you did from being around them so often. And your mom would always focus on God too, and your dad. Like, it was important to give back. It was important to stay connected to philanthropy and always being willing to serve. And like the second I'd show up, she'd ask me like, hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you? You know, this, and I'm like, I'm good. You know, I was like embarrassed, you know. Now I'd be like, I'll take a double espresso, please.
That's because of the book.
Yeah, that's because of the book. But that stupid thing, it's just blown up. But
can I really quick just speak on that? I just love your mom so very much, like so much. She specifically going on that, it's love centered. So we talk a lot about love here and the importance in centering everything in love. And I think that's the key. If I was like secret for her, love and God, like those two things. Your mom loves people so deeply, both your parents do, and she's a prayer warrior. Like, straight up, she'll like come in, we still talk, and we'll call each other and just pray over the phone. And like, that's that kind of mentality where you're just loving other people. And I know both your parents, when I was going through a hard time, like really hard time with the coma, and there were all kinds of financial struggles, again, going into giving back, your parents helped me so much, and they gave when they did not have to give in any way, shape, or form. And if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be in the place that I'm in. And that's that kind of like just selfless giving. I'm like this young dude who's literally I have nothing to give. Like I have nothing to give at this point in life. And they just gave, like just knowing that like this was the right thing to do to help somebody. And so I just love that. And I just had to share that. Hi, Carol. Hi, Scott.
Brian, that's going to like wreck her emotionally.
That was my goal, actually. So.
Well, Thomas, I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to make your mom cry deeper here.
Oh, God, here we go.
Legitimately, Brian was still finding himself, because right now he's living in purpose. Right now he's at the place where it's like, this is why God saved him and turned his life in this new direction, because he's really grabbing it. I got to tell you, like, I'm so proud of this kid. You wouldn't even believe it. But back then he was still so lost and kind of didn't have his why. It wasn't strong. So he was being given gifts like the one that was given by your parents. And it was like, didn't know what to do with it necessarily. But without that gift, I promise you, he might not be here. Like, truthfully, I believe your parents saved his life, because he was living in an apartment, living in a living situation that was, for lack of a better word, just like not clean, not in a space where healing could really happen. And he needed healing. He needed divine intervention. And your parents delivered that on a scale that is immeasurable. It's something that I will never forget, because, he's connected to me directly. So I felt like that was a gift for me as well. And like your parents, man, I just can't even tell you, but they saved this young man's life. They had a hand in that, and so did you. And so, like, we are forever grateful for the Archers.
Well, let's be a little selfish here. The world is also pretty lucky that Brian's still around and is going to benefit because of it, and has.
Oh, they are. Oh my God, you're so right. Sorry, go ahead. Keep bragging on Brian.
So there's that too. It's not like, it was a net huge win, huge W for the world overall. But they would, I think they would be so emotional, and they'll listen to this and they would be so psyched to hear you say that. But yeah, it's kind of, to be honest, it's just kind of how they've always been. So, I mean, they never really even thought twice about it, I don't think. I think they've always put other people ahead of them, and going back to how they raised us, it was like whatever we needed, it was never about them. And I think that kind of permeated through all the decisions that my parents have made, and I'm very proud of them. So yeah, thank you for saying that. They'll be really happy to hear you say that.
Absolutely. All right, let's dive into some Q&A, my friend. I believe we're gonna talk about podcasts first. Hit me up.
Ooh.
Okay. You have entered the podcast space, and I know that with your work ethic and everything, you are attacking it. So I know a guy who's writing a limited series narrative podcast. That guy is me, Matt.
That guy is me.
Is the guy just stunningly handsome?
It doesn't matter on a podcast. It's just your voice.
Yeah, it's podcast, so that's the whole point. Is just keep that out of it. But no, I guess I'm just wondering how I dive into. It seems like there are very few barriers to entry, and I think that's what excites me about podcasting. But has all the podcasting you've done so far been interview and more like, I guess, nonfiction? And do you know anything about the world of like fiction or narrative podcasting, which I think is where there's a lot of growth right now? So I didn't know if you had any ideas or
explain to me narrative podcasting, because I'm not 100% familiar.
Basically, it's more like a movie or a TV series where it's made up characters, just living out a plot rather than interview based or more nonfiction documentary style.
It's kind of like what we do with the improv podcast.
Yeah. So we've done both. Yeah,
of course you have an improv podcast.
We do. Yeah. It's just a little thing that's pretty awesome.
It's got a smooth jazz intro.
So I'm gonna tell you this. I love to brag on my failures. That's like for me. That's like the holy grail. So before anybody else can make fun of me for my huge failures, I like to like lean into them and go, "Hey, look at how terrible I was." And I can only do that by getting better. So, for instance, we posted, or Joey did. Joey's the editor extraordinaire. And speaking of, like sucking, Joey was no good, and now he's awesome. Like, he's unbelievable at editing and really fast. And so now we've set our sights on things way higher so that you can look back on what you're doing now and go, oh, I was terrible. Like, that's the goal. The goal is to not be good and not think you're good and just try to get better,
Yeah.
Like, I loved how you corrected yourself. You almost said you got I was going for a New York accent, and then I got it, and then you're like, I got it a little better. It's a better mindset to have, So anyway, the point was Joey posted this thing on Instagram, and it was me on the first one of these shows we ever did, and we didn't know, like, literally had no idea what we were doing, and we're putting it up live on YouTube, like live, just like we are now. And first of all, that's scary to go live. You have to worry about every word you say, and and all the politics and different things. Like you're like, ugh. And then you get used to it. But the first couple times it's terrifying. So we have this program that we use, and we hit the button, and I'm literally just going, okay, well, maybe this is the beginning of our show, but I'm not sure. Don't know if we're live yet. How we doing, Joey? Like, that was the beginning of the show for, like, I don't know, a minute or 2 minutes. and then, it got systematically better from there. So my advice is like anything else. Just dive in with 2 feet, use it as your excuse to get better as an actor, and do it and fail at it. And fail miserably at it, and be okay with that, and be okay with going, all right, I'm going to put this up. We're going to keep getting better. Eventually, if I feel like it, I'll take it down if I want to. But otherwise, I'm just showing the growth. I want people to look back at the first one and go, oh wow, that was terrible, and look where he is now. It's like really good. To me, that's the secret to success in anything. And the podcast game, it looks easier than it is, I think.
Yeah.
As far as the barrier to entry thing, because there's a lot of bad ones out there, and there's a lot of people that don't follow through on the technical side. And that's another thing that Joey did, because he's been this firm believer in podcasts since we started. He was like, man, this is the thing, you got to trust me. And I was like, all right, I trust you, but I was like, also cool, I don't care. And then and now I care. Like, if you look at our metrics, you look at the charts, and there's like, and all of a sudden we had that exponential growth thing happen, and we just like popped, Of course, coronavirus kind of. Yeah. But having said that, it was like wow, like this is impressive. But he had to do the next steps. Like, there's the technical side of digging in there, figuring out how to get yourself on, Apple Podcasts and Spotify and the different big ones. And then eventually, as you're going and grinding away at it and you're putting out really good content, then the big ones start coming to you. So Joey's been getting emails from iHeartRadio and different podcast avenues, and we're on like a ton of them now. And we didn't have to solicit. We didn't have to try. Like, they came to us and we're like, hey, can we put your podcast on our thing? And we're like, yeah, sure.
Huge. That's awesome. Okay, I love that. Just, yeah. I think you can do a lot of talking and revving your engine before you start, but that makes me feel like, maybe just hit the first couple episodes right away and learn as I go. And I think that'll be pretty cool. So.
And I'd say, it all, with narrative, it really depends on who's acting in it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend you collaborate with some super talented people from like Arizona or whatever, and like try to find just like some of the best talent you can grab. I wouldn't know where to
start looking, Matt.
No,
I think Joey has a thought here on the podcast.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I had a couple things, but number one, we're going to be coming out with an e-course on starting your own podcast.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt this. Thomas, seriously, how good looking is that kid? Like Joey.
It's unbelievable.
Right?
It really is.
You're not going to believe he's single. Like,
say the thing again. Start over.
It's distracting. It's distracting. His looks are distractingly just like
distracting.
Okay, sorry. Thomas and I were both just in a daze here. Okay. All right.
So I was just saying that we are going to come out with an e-course soon about the creating your own podcast and the steps that go into that. And as far as just getting out there and doing it, 100% just do that. There are probably 30 podcasts that we did that are now gone off our feed that we had to do to get better, and they were terrible, like so bad. But you get better and you get into the flow, and it really is an art form of itself. So you get good at engaging people in conversation and teaching them, and even through a narrative podcast, like if you give them takeaways based on the performance, that's amazing. And it's one of those things where, like Matt said, like recording it is the fun part, and then the afterward part is where you make or break how successful you are in it.
Yeah, and you can start out with a really strong foundation, and you can get equipment that's lower level all the way at the high level, and you can maximize that equipment in different ways. And we've done a lot of those things and made a lot of mistakes. So Joey he's helping us put up this e-course on how to get started podcasting. So I think that's another big deal. Is we'll let you know when that's out. And
yeah, please. That sounds literally perfect.
Yeah, we'll take you step by step.
Thank you.
By step.
Well, we got a fan and a buyer already. That makes me feel good.
We got a fan and a buyer, and he's basically your doppelganger, Joey. All right. So next question, sir.
So okay. Yeah, okay, so I usually the way that I keep myself feeling like I'm in progress is working in class and then also trying to write something or be working on a writing project at all times if I can. But there is this moment where I feel like when you finish, especially a writing project like a script or a play that you've been working on for a long time, there is this sort of like exhale when you finally finish it. And how do you then jump into the next thing while still giving yourself, the necessary time to be creatively influenced or to recover or whatever? Because I think something that you could help me with is like, I can get sad in those times in between when I just haven't thought of my next thing or idea. And I kind of, is there a way to avoid that rut or to get out of it quicker, or how do you get to the next thing, but have it be a quality thing?
Yeah, 100%. That's an awesome question. So the key here is, and I totally understand the lull, like that little downer time, because I've felt it many, many times. The secret is to maintain your goal setting and be continuously adjusting your sails. So one of the very first things we did, or I did specifically when coronavirus hit, was I went boom right to my goals, and I'm like, all right, what has to be adjusted? Like what can we put on the back burner? What needs to go in the front in the first place? What if this? What if that? And create different strategies and going boom, 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 boom. Then my goals in general, I check in on them every week, every day, but mainly I rewrite them all monthly. So I make sure, is this still the direction I want to go? So when I'm getting close to the end of a project, let's say I feel it, I'm like a month out, I'm already setting the goal for the next one.
Gotcha.
So then my thought process is already going there. Now I can't wait to finish the project, not to get it done, but more so because I can't wait to start the next one.
You smart man.
I know. Like I can tell you, I've already got the next 2 books lined out and a screenplay lined out that I'm really, really excited about writing, and I believe they're super good ideas. But I've held myself accountable to, I can't do that until my current book is done. So once I finish this book that I'm working on right now, then the joy, the gift, the prize is I get to start working on one of these other projects, whichever one just comes first.
Wow, I love that, because then you're not feeling like that last 10 pages sort of like, ugh, gotta get this over with thing with whatever you're writing or working on, which I think we've all had. You're not having that sort of, let's just get this done, writing the essay at 4 a.m.
The other thing I would recommend too, I've been talking about this a lot lately because it just happened to be the most recent audiobook I was listening to. Kevin Hart has a really funny audiobook that's...
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing. I love it.
Oh, did you? Okay, great. Yeah. So I loved what he said about follow through on the marketing aspect of projects, and so like writing a script, that would be included in that, and any creative endeavor in general, it's going to be like, okay, so I did it, like I finished the creative part, which is quote the fun part. Now I'm required to put in the same amount of effort, the same amount of enthusiasm in trying to get this out, or trying to get it cast, or trying to get it into the next step of whatever that thing is, or else how could I ever expect it to be successful? You know, like let's say I wrote a book and it was already out, and I'm like, okay, if I don't talk about that book, there's no way anyone's gonna buy it. You know what I mean?
The title again? I don't know.
I don't like talking about it.
It's time now for Brian Sweeney's Shameless Plugs.
Shameless plugs.
Acting.
Are you gonna speak?
Wow, that was like a lot of lead up.
Acting is my day job. 7 strategies to market and make money as an actor.
It'll create a lot of confidence in you. Brian hasn't read it yet.
I'm working on it right now.
But you know, one day.
No, I actually did. I'm really excited about it. It's a really great book.
Actually, Joey and I just finished the audio version of Acting is My Day Job, 7 Strategies to Market and Make Money as an Actor.
It's real good. Real good.
That's a really nice
It's real good right there. That's a real good audiobook.
I love that. That's awesome. I'm going to listen to it. Matt, do you listen to audiobooks? When do you find yourself listening to stuff? I mean, like
every day.
Podcast, audiobooks, whatever.
Every day. I love audiobooks. I'm a huge fan of those. Some podcasts I get into, but I feel like that can become a wormhole. So I'm very selective as to which podcasts I'll let myself listen to make sure that, or at least be honest about it, because it could be like anything where you get yourself down a path and you're telling yourself you're working, but truthfully you're being entertained, you know? So you want to get to a point where it's like, okay, is this actually life-giving? Is this putting me in a good mood? Is this, is it doing the thing that I'm hoping that it does? And if not, then I go, okay, cool. Let me check off the box of entertainment and downtime for the day, and that's okay as long as I'm honest about what it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, but for the most part, the only thing I listen to are audiobooks on personal development, bettering yourself as an actor, bettering your acting skills, etc. Like that's pretty much all I ingest. And then on my free time, I'll be ingesting like positive motivational videos and like different things. And I listen to everything. Like it all goes in my ear. I start every day with the Bible. A little workout, little like mental routine, and then I'm always writing and reading and trying to speak out loud on a daily basis in the morning. So that's a part of my initial routine to just get me going.
I love that. I do a similar little ritual. That's really cool. I like that. That makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
Well, you are. You definitely are, because you're almost on your way to Joey Sweeney.
We've all got to have goals, right?
You've got to have goals. Yeah, exactly. All right. So we had a little fun question here you asked me about. So I thought I'd dive down this really quick. The idea of 3 performances in film that left me stunned.
Let's see it. Let's hear them.
All right. So number 1 was Daniel Day-Lewis in the movie Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
That was the first time that I walked out of theater with so much confidence that I looked next to me, whoever, I think it was probably Leanne, but I had zero doubt. I go, that's the Academy Award.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Unbelievable.
I promise you, that's it. Just try, like, show me anything. Good luck. It's not going to happen. Like, that dude was Lincoln winner.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, so that was jaw-dropping. The latest is not a film, but it was I got to see it on film because I didn't see it in person, was Hamilton. Oh, sorry, I missed that.
You didn't.
The king in Hamilton, and I just blew it, Joey. That's totally my fault. You were on it with the sound effects. I blew it. My fault. I take full accountability. Number 2 on Matthew Deering's list that left him stunned. The king in Hamilton. His name is Jonathan Groffs, and when he stepped on stage and did what he did, the amount of movement he had that was specific, and then have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I watched it 2 nights ago. It's
okay.
wild.
Then when he's so still And it's what I've preached from day one, is like, there is no difference between theater and film. Stop telling me that you're a theater actor because you do things like you don't have to. He was so controlled and still, and the audience was just roaring. And I'm going, yes, thank you for the example I can use for forever. I was stunned.
You couldn't look away because it was like, there wasn't a step out of place, or that wasn't thought about or
right.
intended.
And
so,
then,
I mean, it was great. And he's been in some really good stuff. He was in the Normal Heart movie that they did. He's in that show Mindhunter. So, I mean, he comes from the stage, but like, he really rocks it on film and TV too.
100%. Yeah. And so he's got the chops. And it was just one of those performances where I'm literally watching in my living room, and I understand nobody can hear me or see me or whatever, and I clapped anyway. I was like, okay, like, I have to just give that the love it deserves, because that was really great. So that's number 2. And the number 3 is going to surprise you. Performance that left me stunned. And I'm only mentioning this because you remind me of him, and I like to use this as an example. And it's Shia LaBeouf in one of the Transformers movies. And it's not the overall movie or his performance in general. There's this moment where he's been like infiltrated by the aliens, and he's speaking a foreign language of sorts.
Oh, I think I remember this. Yeah.
And he's dropping his books and falling downstairs and being chased by just like some big evil transformer, and the steps are blowing up and things are happening. And the amount of precision in his dialogue and the way he gets out the language just perfect. And you know that there are like Transformers nerds are going to look up every word he says to make sure that it's like accurate in the foreign language. He just nailed it. And I always think, you know, it goes back to like those commercials, and you're working on Beirut, and then you do this commercial that's like cheesy or whatever, or like an action film that's cheesy. It's harder than people think to deliver a cheesy line in a big blockbuster adventure film. Like, you try it, you know, like you try delivering one of those iconic lines and making it iconic, you know. It's like, you know, you put yourself in his shoes, and I'm looking at him going, there is no robot there. Like, that doesn't really exist. It's green screen, you know. He's fallen, dropping books. He's blocked this thing out perfectly, and picking up the stuff, and then he's rolling off this gibberish. It's like this crazy, well-memorized monologue. I looked at the acting talent and work that he put into that moment, and I was stunned by it. I'm like, that deserves credit. Say whatever you want about any actor, but like this guy in this moment, he nailed it, and he deserves credit for it.
Right, and talk about elevating the material too. It's like, that's your job. So I think he did a great job throughout all of those movies of like finding moments of humor, finding moments that like you really just had to go to those stakes, to literally my car is flying at me as a robot. I mean, like that, like you said, you try it. Anybody can say, well, the line sucked or that movie was cheesy, but like to go there as an actor when there's literally a piece of tape in front of you is hard.
Yeah.
So I've always been a huge Shia fan, and yeah, talk about taking material up a level. That's what you're asked to do, especially with a lot of the early auditions you get, is like, okay, I'm not going to judge this. I'm going to make it the best they're going to see all day.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And we usually do a little challenge. So I'm going to give you a challenge here. And this is going to be a fun little thing for Joey too. I'm going to set him up with some Instagram gold you can use. Okay. So here's the challenge. My wife and I do this little exercise that we made up. So here's the line. You pick up the phone in your car and you're driving, and somebody says something on the other end of the line, and your line is, you're in one of these epic movies, your line is, I'm running away from the tornado. And so you got to like see the tornado in the rearview mirror. You have to have that bit of cool that like an adventure, you know, actor would have, or, you know, in like one of these epic films. You got to deliver it iconic. You have to be a little bit scared so we believe it's true, but not, you know, unauthentic. It's very difficult. And we've worked through this so many times that it's fun to realize how bad you are and how much work it takes to actually deliver this line and believe what's happening is true. So here's the challenge. And this is for everybody out there who's watching right now. Your challenge is to record yourself pretending to drive like you're doing an audition, and you pick up the phone, you're driving away from a tornado in one of these big tornado epic movies, and your line is, I'm driving away from the tornado. And you got to deliver that line, post it on Instagram, and tag us back. And and we're gonna see some performances. So
Okay, I'm just saying, I can't wait to see just a bunch of people tag us with that line.
oh, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be so
I'm
funny.
driving away from the tornado.
I'm driving away from the
And
tornado.
ideally, enough of you out there will jump in on this that people will just go, "Is there a tornado going on?"
Yeah. That's one of the. And by the way, that's the line. Like that's the line in the movie that makes it makes the cut of the trailer.
Yeah.
You know.
People are on social media like, what is 2020?
What's happening?
No, they want to know what movie it is. Like they're gonna go, "What movie is that? Is that Twister?" Like, yeah. So that's your homework assignment. That's your big challenge, and we want to see that by the end of today. We want to see that line delivered, and no apologies, no excuses. Just be like, "This is the Deering Studio challenge," and then just put it up. And it doesn't matter how good it is. It matters that you do it.
Gotcha.
All right, cool.
That's
Next,
awesome.
do you have any more questions?
I mean, we could talk all day, but I feel like I've gotten a lot here, man. I mean, I'm just happy to be invited on. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think I'm good on questions. Did you have anything else?
No, dude. I just want to tell you that once again, we are so grateful for you. We love you. We're excited for where you're going and what you're doing, and that you've got our personal numbers here. Anytime you call up, you need anything, we're here for you.
Awesome. I love all you guys too. Thanks for having me on.
Love you, bro.
See you guys.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Mornings with Matt. We sure appreciate you watching. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel. You got to subscribe to the channel. If you don't subscribe, well, then I don't know what, because that would just be so bad. You have to subscribe to the channel. Helps us out so much. We want to put out this light-driven content, so we need you to subscribe. Did I say subscribe? Because we definitely need you to subscribe. Like, there's some subliminal thing going on here about subscribing. Like, if somebody could just subscribe to the show, like, that would be so great. No, subscribe to our channel. Like this, share it. Thank you so much. Have a great day. God bless.
Like, share, subscribe.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.